All right, welcome back again. I stopped the other video right around, hold on a second. Let's see, right about here. So that was about 20 minutes, and now I'm reading slowly, and I was talking a lot before, so I'm going to read a little quicker now. And I want you to see that these notes are just my marks-ups. They're just stops and jot. Now that looks like a ton that I wrote, and I guess it is. You know, I don't think you're going to be writing this much, but every time you stop and engage with the text, you're going to have a thought. That's just the way the human brain works. So the more you think, the more you're going to get out of this, of course. So hopefully you're starting to see a little story take shape. Okay, I'm going to start reading here. George just said, we're going to work on a ranch just like the one we come from up north. Up north? In Weed. Oh, sure, I remember. In Weed. That ranch we're going to is right down there about a quarter mile. We're going to go in and see the boss. Now look, I'll give him the work tickets, but you ain't going to say a word. You just stand there and don't say nothing. If he finds out what a crazy bastard you are, we won't get no job. But if he sees your work before he hears you talk, we're set. Got that? Sure, George. Sure, I got it. Okay, now when we go in to see the boss, what you gonna do? Lenny thought, his face grew tight with thought. I ain't gonna say nothing, just gonna stand there. Good boy, that's swell. You say that over 2-3 times so you're sure you won't forget it. Lenny droned to himself softly. I ain't gonna say nothing, I ain't gonna say nothing, I ain't gonna say nothing. Okay, said George. And you ain't gonna do no bad things like you done in Weed neither. Lenny looked puzzled. Like I done in Weed? Oh, so you forgot that too, did ya? Well, I ain't gonna remind ya. Fear you do it again. A light of understanding broke on Lenny's face. They run us out of Weed, he exploded triumphantly. Run us out, hell, said George disgustedly. We run. They was looking for us, but they didn't catch it. All right, hold on a second. This is odd. So there's 2 things I want to note here. If the boss sees how Lenny can work before they hear him talk, they're not going to have any problems. But if they hear Lenny talk first, and I'm beginning, especially with this I, and the repeating to himself, it sounds like he's developmentally disabled or something like that. Right? Or intellectually disabled here. I'm not so sure, but it sounds like his mind did not grow in the same way that his physical body did. And then what else I thought was really weird, he's like, and you're not going to do any bad things. He's like, what do you mean? I'm not going to even tell you about it in case you do it again. So what the heck did he do in Weed? Ha ha ha, Weed. Did he do in Weed? Weed's the name of the town. Smart guys. Okay. Lenny giggled happily. I didn't forget that, you bet. George lay back on the sand and crossed his hands under his head, and Lenny imitated him, raising his head to see whether he was doing it right. God, you're a lot of trouble, said George. I could get along so easy and so nice if I didn't have you on my tail. I could live so easy, maybe have a girl. For a moment, Lenny lay quiet, and then he said hopefully, we're going to work on a ranch, George. All right, you got that. But we're going to sleep here because I got a reason. All right. This kind of makes me feel sad. Like, if I didn't have you, I could, like, have a good life. That seems like a pretty horrible thing to say to a friend. And then that makes me ask, are they friends? Like, how did they come to be together? Who are they? Are they brothers? I would say they're brothers because they seem to, like, know each other and they seem to go back a long time. But I don't know yet. But it's definitely peculiar relationship. And if you read Peculiar, Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children, that word peculiar is just very fun to say. Okay, back into the text. The day was going fast now. Only the tops of the Gabilan Mountains flamed with the light of the sun that had gone from the valley. A water snake slipped along on the pool, its held head up like a little periscope. That's such a pretty image. Oh my God, look at that simile. Like a little water snake sticks its head out of the water and it looks like a little periscope from like a submarine. Anyway, the reeds jerked slightly in the current. Far off towards the highway, a man shouted something and another shouted back. The sycamore limbs rustled under the little wind that died immediately. George, why we ain't going on to the ranch and get some supper? They got supper at the ranch. George rolled onto his side. No reason at all for you. I like it here. Tomorrow we're going to go to work. I seen thrasher machines on the way down. That means we'll be bucking grain bags, busting a gut. Tonight I'm going to lay right here and look up. I like it. Lenny got up on his knees and looked down at George. Ain't we going to have no supper? Sure we are. If you gather up some dead willow sticks, I got 3 cans of beans in my bindle. You light a fire ready, I'll give you a match, and when you get the sticks together, then we'll heat up the beans and have supper. Lenny said, I like beans with ketchup. Well, we ain't got no ketchup. You go get wood, and don't you fool around. It'll be dark before long. Lenny lumbered to his feet. What a great word. To lumber is like clumsily and gigantically move, and disappeared into the brush. George lay where he was and whistled softly to himself. There were sounds of splashing down the river in the direction Lenny had taken. George stopped whistling and listened. Poor bastard, he said softly, and then went on whistling again. In a moment, Lenny came crashing back through the brush. He carried one small willow stick in his hand. George sat up. All right, he said brusquely. Give me that mouse. But Lenny made an elaborate pantomime of innocence. What mouse, George? I ain't got no mouse. George held out his hand. Come on, give it to me. You ain't putting nothing over. Lenny hesitated, backed away, looked wildly at the brush line as though he contemplated running for his freedom. George said coldly, You gonna give me that mouse, or do I have to sock you? Give you what, George? You know goddamn well what. I want that mouse. Lenny reluctantly reached into his pocket. His voice broke a little. I don't know why I can't keep it. It ain't nobody's mouse. I didn't steal it. I found it lying right beside the road. George's hand remained outstretched imperiously. Slowly, like a terrier who doesn't want to bring a ball to its master, Lenny approached, drew back, approached again. George snapped his fingers sharply, and the sound drew Lenny. And at the sound, Lenny laid the mouse in his hand. Right before this simile of a dog, I was thinking about my own dog, who when she has something she's not supposed to, and I say, give it, she like looks at me with these eyes, and she kind of backs away, and she does not want to give it to me. And that's exactly what this reminded me of. So, did you see what happened? Lenny said, I'm going to go get some sticks to light a fire, and he went back over to where George threw the dead mouse over by like the willows. That's the willows, and that's the pool in my art world. And he went and he got the dead mouse so he could have it back. That's not a very good mouse. That's not so bad. With the tail, looks a lot better. I'll give him X's because he's dead. Isn't that sad? He went and he got his dead mouse back. And he says here, wasn't doing nothing bad with it, George. Just stroking it. Okay, I'm going to stop reading right there. I want you to finish this chapter by Friday. Today's Thursday, so look, you have like 3 pages left. This is where chapter 2 starts. Okay, finish reading. Okay, and I'm posting some annotation categories on Friday. And I want you to just write one for the chapter. Write one official annotation, like the ones that we've been doing before, where you have the theory, the title, the title, then you have the category, you have the quote with the page number, and you have your theory. So just write one. So I'm going to post those new annotation categories. Some are the same that we've been doing, but I've added a few on, so you can take a look at that and just jot down what you see, just like I did. You don't have to write as much as I did. This was really modeling, but you see when I picked up over here, I kind of moved a little quicker without writing. So good luck. Enjoy reading the rest of this first chapter. See what happens with this mouse. And we'll see what happens at the end of the chapter. I will see you guys in my next couple of videos tomorrow. All right. Be well.